Hello, this is Momo from Momo Faith. We're going to do a podcast, and you know that because you're listening to it, but we're going to call this Just Talking. And for this first one, we're going to talk about free will. And I'm just going to throw out some questions and talk about it. So, what is free will? And I'm going to give you my definition, and then I'm going to look it up. So, free will is the option that we have to do what we want to do. It's the ability that God gave us to do what we want to do so that we can love him, but then we can also not love him. So, what is free will? I'm going to look that up in the dictionary, and I get the power of acting without constraint of necessity or fate. The ability to act at one's own discretion. So, without necessity or fate, let's talk about that. If God knows what we are going to do, how do we have free will? God knows, like, not fate, but like, God knows exactly what we are going to do, exactly how our lives are going to play out, every single tiny detail. So if God knows all that, how do we have free will? I'm not saying that God controls that, but how is he in control if he's not controlling that? How does God control everything if he can't control humans? And how does he know that everything is going to happen? How does he know how things are going to happen without controlling them? I mean, okay, fate. I'm gonna translate this to, well, I'm gonna look up what is fate. What is fate? The development of events beyond a person's control, regarded as determined by a supernatural power. So, God has not determined. God is the supernatural power that I'm gonna translate supernatural power to God. But God hasn't determined what's going to happen, but he knows he's determined what's going to happen because he knows what's going to happen. He knows the future because he doesn't live in time. He is not bound by the rules of time that we are bound by, meaning he knows what's going to happen. Let's see. I've heard it said being able to see all of time flattened out, or being able to see all of time all at once. But how does he know? I've said this, but here's a website. What does the Bible say about fate? And I'll give you the URL to this webpage in like the description of the podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, I will put this on the screen right now, and I'll put the URL on the screen, and I will put the text from the website on the screen. Okay, so I took a break and read part of the website, and it basically said that the Bible doesn't agree with fate. So it gives me some Bible verses that I am going to read to you. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, Did God actually say, You shall not eat from the tree in the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, We may eat the fruit of the trees in the... And it goes on. So we all know this story. If you don't, look it up. You can go to Bible.com and look up Genesis 3. But God knew that we were going to sin. Knew that humans were going to sin. And if God is in control, how can God be in control when humans also have free will? God gave us free will, but he's still in control. So, Proverbs 22:8a, Whoever sows injustice will reap calamity, and the rod of his fury will fail. Proverbs 14:23, In all toil there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. So this is basically, we have control of what we do. And my question for you is, how do we have control if God also has control? So answer that question. How is God in control control and how am I in control? If I have free will, how does God then have control? If God has a plan for the entire universe, how do I still have free will? If God knows what I'm going to do, then how is my quote unquote fate not already set? And that's what fatalism says. That like fate is just there and you can't control anything. Everything is going to happen. Like whatever happens is going to happen and there's nothing you can do about it. And I don't know. God's will is going to happen. And was it God's will for us to sin? Was it God's will for Adam and Eve to sin? And why was if so, why was that why would he want them to sin? Why did God, I'm going back to my notes, my outline, which I have gone so far away from. Why did God create Satan? And because that's where this all started. What is free will without temptation? Free will is having the choice to do what you want to do. And when there's only one option, how is there free will? In heaven, will we have free will? How will we love God without free will? Because, okay, this is going to sound weird, but Satan gives us our free will, right? Well, the temptation gives us our free will. The choice between right and wrong is what free will is based upon. If God is choice A, Satan is choice B. If you take out choice B, there's no more choice. Like, there's one choice. You go with God, and your choice is God, and how is that free will? So, like, how are we going to have free will in heaven? Because we need free will to be able to love God, but it's not free will if there's no temptation. So, will we have free will in heaven is question 3. Yes, because we need to love God, right? Won't we have free will because we need to love God? That goes with question 3. Question 4 is, what is free will without temptation? And what is free will without choice? So now I'm going to go to question that is, why did God create humans? Why did God make us? And God created us because he had community. God, the Trinity, is the perfect community. And I've talked about this recently in a Bible study, and the Trinity is the perfect community, and that is why God created us, because he wanted to share his perfect community. He wanted to share it with a creation, with his creation. So he made heaven and the angels, and here's another question. But now he's created the angels, and they have free will, and Lucifer is like the head angel, but he wants more power. Here's another question that just popped into my head. Question 6. What made Lucifer want to disobey God? Because I thought Satan is the tempter. What tempted Satan? What tempted Satan? The 7th question. Why did God create Lucifer? And that's question 7. Everything was perfect. How did he want more power? Like, how is that not going to happen again if we have free will in heaven? And, like, isn't there going to be someone who wants to be like God again? Like, free will is like personality. It gives personality, right? So, if we don't have free will in heaven, we won't have personality. We'll be just robots doing exactly what God says. We'll be perfect in heaven, right? So maybe that's why we won't want more power. Why didn't he create the angels perfect? And why didn't he just create the angels? Why did he also create earth? What was the point in creating heaven and earth? In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Why did he create heaven and earth? Why didn't he just stop with heaven? Well, heaven failed with Lucifer, so he made earth, maybe? But then why he failed on earth, too, so why didn't he how? What? Okay, I'm gonna stop this podcast here, and I'm gonna think more about it, and maybe we'll talk about this next podcast. We've gotten to the end of my notes, and I'm just talking off of that, and I don't think I have anything else to say, so I hope you enjoyed it. Please answer my questions. I'll put on the YouTube description, I'll put the questions with the numbers, and you can, yeah, in the YouTube description, in the SoundCloud description, there's gonna be like kind of like a quiz. What do you think? Answer my questions with what you think. Okay. You'll, in the YouTube comments and other places, you can email me, or in the comment on the blog, momofaith.blogspot.com. That's it for now. I'm going to talk about this next podcast. I'll see you next podcast. Bye.